You're scrolling on your phone after a long, draining day. You're not looking for anything in particular, but that familiar feeling of sadness or emptiness starts to creep in. Then, you see it, an ad for a jacket you've been eyeing. A little voice in your head says, "I deserve this." You click Add to Cart, and just for a moment, the sadness lifts. If this sounds familiar, it's not a coincidence. It's your brain chemistry at work. This behavior is so common, it has a nickname: retail therapy. Recent surveys show that around 63% of Americans say their emotions influence their purchases, with nearly half admitting they shop to improve their mood. We joke about it, but for many, it's a cycle of temporary relief followed by guilt, debt, and even more stress. But what if I told you this isn't some personal failing or a lack of willpower? It's a predictable biological trap your own mind sets for you. It's a response grounded in neurobiology and our deep-seated need to manage our emotions. So if you've ever tried to buy your way to a better mood, this video is for you. We're going to break down the science, destigmatize the behavior, and give you the tools to reclaim control. So what exactly is going on in your brain when you're sad that makes you so vulnerable to the siren song of a flash sale? It all comes down to a few powerful brain chemicals, or neurotransmitters, that get thrown completely out of balance. Think of them as the puppet masters pulling the strings on your mood, your motivation, and your decisions. First, let's talk about the main culprit: dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good chemical, but that's not quite the whole story. It's more accurately the reward-seeking chemical. Your brain releases dopamine not when you get a reward, but in anticipation of one. When you're feeling down, your brain is desperate for a quick fix, so it starts hunting for an easy source of that anticipated reward. And in our world, few things offer a more immediate promise of a reward than shopping. Every time you see something you want, add it to your cart, or even just think about buying it, your brain's reward system lights up, releasing a hit of dopamine. This creates a powerful, almost addictive feedback loop. You feel sad, your brain seeks a dopamine hit. You browse an online store, and you get a small jolt of pleasure from the anticipation. The behavior is reinforced. The problem is, this high is incredibly short-lived. Once the purchase is made and the novelty wears off, the dopamine fades, but the original sadness is still there. Now, often with a new friend: guilt or financial anxiety. This just pushes your brain to seek that reward all over again, locking you in a cycle of spending to chase a fleeting feeling. Beyond pure brain chemistry, sadness triggers powerful psychological shifts that make spending feel like the perfect solution. The biggest of these is how sadness messes with your sense of self and your sense of control. At its core, sadness is often tied to a feeling of helplessness, a sense that life is happening to you and you have no power to change it. In this context, shopping becomes an act of rebellion. It's a way to get back in the driver's seat. In the world of retail, you are in charge. You make the choices. You decide what to look at, what to buy, and what to ignore. A study in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that the simple act of making purchasing decisions actually restored a sense of personal control, which in turn helped reduce feelings of sadness. But there's an even more fascinating and slightly troubling mechanism at play. A groundbreaking 2008 study from researchers at Carnegie Mellon and Harvard uncovered what they called the misery is not miserly effect. They found that sadness literally makes you devalue both yourself and your current possessions. In their experiments, they made one group of participants feel sad and kept another group neutral. The sad participants consistently reported a lower sense of self-worth, and because they felt worthless, they saw their own belongings as less valuable too. This led to a stunning result. When given the chance to buy a new item, the sad participants were willing to pay up to 30% more for the exact same product as the neutral group. They were, in essence, trying to purchase back their sense of self-worth, and they were willing to overpay to do it. This creates a dangerous combination for overspending. You feel out of control, so the act of choosing and buying gives you a temporary hit of power.
At the same time, your sad brain is telling you that you and everything you own are devalued, which makes the appeal of something new and shiny almost impossible to resist.
The urge to spend when you're sad isn't a character flaw. It is not a sign that you're bad with money. It's a human response. It's your ancient brain trying to solve a modern problem in the quickest way it knows how, by seeking a reward to numb the pain. It's a biological impulse to find comfort, distraction, and a sense of control when you feel like you have none. But by understanding the science, the push and pull of dopamine and serotonin, the psychological need for control, and that misery is not miserly effect, you can start to see this pattern for what it really is. You can recognize that urge not as a genuine need for a new pair of shoes, but as a signal from your brain that it needs something else: relief, connection, or a sense of accomplishment. The next time you have a rough day and feel that temptation to splurge, just pause. Ask yourself, what do I really need in this moment? Chances are it's not another material possession. By learning to identify the trigger and redirect the impulse, you take your power back. You start building a life where your happiness isn't dependent on your next purchase, but on habits that truly nourish your well-being. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to learn more about the psychology behind your daily habits, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.